fun here. Unfortunately, I have my passwords. So that first thing, I'm like, okay, well, how can I get my ad out there? I don't have much money for marketing, for advertising, but I know I can get out there on Craigslist for free. Have you ever put an ad on Craigslist? Anybody? What kind of responses do you get? All kinds of responses, right? Like all kinds. We've bought some houses, we've sold some houses, we've also got almost scammed. Well, not, but I mean, attempted. We didn't almost get scammed, but several, right? You get all kinds of folks. But there are deals out there because eventually I got someone to call and they said, okay, we got this house we want to sell. Actually, it was a mobile home. And I didn't ever expect that to be my first deal, but I'm like, okay, well, I'm just trying to get a deal. So this goes to the point of you need to take action in the direction of your desire. Regardless of whether or not that is the perfect action, you just need to move forward in that direction because that's going to bring about opportunities that you didn't even realize that are along the path of really where you want to go. Because you might only be able to see the very next step in front of you, and that's all you should really even have to worry about if you're trying to figure something else out that's brand new. Because you set that pin where you want to go, and this rope almost pulls you there, but you got to take action to move the rope forward, if that makes sense in any sort of weird kind of way. But stuff's going to pop up along the way that you're like, oh damn, that's helping me along my path. But if I just stood there, it wouldn't have happened. So even if you don't know the exact right thing to do, the best thing you can do is move forward, make the decision, because that's what will allow you to make the mistakes that you really want to make. I mean, you want to avoid as many as possible, but you want to fail forward, because the quicker you can fail, the quicker you can knock those things out, and you're like, bam, I figured that out, bam, I figured that out, bam, I figured that out. You evolve quicker as an individual, as a professional, your business, like all that. Like there's a lot of hesitation around failure in this society because we're conditioned to get A's in school. So it's like you're punished if you don't, in a way that it's like, man, you're not really programming, you're not really embracing development. But that's a whole other subject for another day. But you're trying to shake up that programming and kind of stretch out, like, your mind and stuff a little bit. Because it took me a lot to figure out, like, hey, wait a second. I was looking around at Verizon, like, there's some kind of like thing going on here. Like we're all like building this huge organization thing, and we could get chopped off any time. Like we're just like kind of like there's no long-term legacy building here, and that same energy that I'm putting into that could be going into a family business. So it's like, and I see, it's like if I'm good enough for them to keep me this long at any of your jobs, it's like, well, then you have enough value that you can do something on your own if you wanted to. So, but I didn't know that for so long. It kept me there because I had this fear of, oh, this is a perfect job. This is like, life can't get any better. Other people are like, well, dude, you got 4 weeks of vacation now after 10 years? Like, what do you want? Like, I don't know, I want more. I just knew there was more. And sometimes you have like a feeling, it's not here, it's here, that you gotta follow, and that will truly unlock like your potential, like your meaning, what you're supposed to be doing here for your biggest purpose. I believe anyway. That's what happened for me as far as when I started realizing, like, hey, there's more to this. And each and every one of you have built skill sets that no one can take away from you, no matter what. Like, that's what's also super profound, is that no matter what you're doing, even if you hate your job, or you want to do something else or whatever, it's like you're building skill sets and things that will come back to help you years in the future. There's skills, for a long time I resented Verizon after the fact, and that was before I practiced gratitude and things and got more aware of stuff. But like, in the last couple of years, I really found myself pulling from the lessons that I learned at Verizon as an assistant manager under a store manager, some excellent mentors that I was like, man, I already know what to do in our business now as we're scaling, because this happened at the Verizon store when we were selling cell phones. And like, it's crazy how that came back in a way to, like, it was like college in a way, or like preparation, real better than college. It was real life experience in business. But here we are, we found Instagram. Yes. Now, if I can find my own, just wanted to highlight a few things we're doing. So I update a lot on Instagram. This is by far my favorite social media platform. I asked Ty Lopez, like, what's your advice on social media? Like, how should I grow? He said, one platform at a time. Now, whatever you think of Ty Lopez, he's done some great social media stuff, so I'm like, okay, I'll take your advice for that. And this also goes back to, alludes to, I got into this circle, this entrepreneurship circle, in 2017 once I discovered Grant Cardone. And that really accelerated my life. Ton, because it got me out of the mindset of first I was working in the corporate world. I had the corporate mindset. Then I'm like, hey, let me get out of here. There's something else out there. I want to go see. I might come back broke. I might come back like with nothing. I might come back beat up, but at least I can go back to a job, because I got over the fear of like, I could always get another job. Like, you'd always get another job. There's always going to be jobs out there if you're providing value to the market. So I went for it. And I thought I was pretty badass in that first year, 2016 alone. I'm like, damn, this is cool. I'm working for myself, getting up at 10 a.m. I'm like, not really, like, I was enjoying it, maybe a little too much, but I needed it. But then I started listening to more podcasts, and then it became, I came out of the corporate circle, and then kind of started breaking into this world of people that were like really driven. Like, you could say like some super bright lights in this area would be Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone, some things like that. But then it's like this universe of a bunch of like people that are like about entrepreneurship, bettering their life, all this stuff. So I went to this growth conference in 2017, and that's what really got me thinking on a bigger level, and made me realize how lazy I was getting up at 10. It made me believe like how much more I could do. And so that all changed, because I tapped into it hit me. I'm like, damn, I could be doing more. He's right. He's like, this guy's right. If he's almost 60 and he's running around like tweeting 20 times a day, finding his next apartment acquisition and doing this and inspiring others, like, what's my excuse at like half his age at the time? So I'm like, all right. So a couple things I wanted to highlight. How are we doing on time? 9:47. What's the, hey Linda, how are we doing on time? 5 minutes?
Well, till 10.
What
time is it?
What time am I?
10 o'clock.
Oh, 10, okay, 13 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Cool, yeah, cool. It's like 5, okay, better make it quick. Cool, yeah, no, that's perfect, that's perfect.
13 minutes.
All right, yeah, and I'll be here all day. I got a booth right there. So, I mean, it's impossible to talk about everything that's happened, but I wanted to get to my first deal still and show you that. I put an ad on Craigslist, and I made, long story short, I made $6,500 on the first deal. And that was more than I'd ever made on a Verizon wireless check. And he said, Verizon check, damn, okay, this is kind of real now at this point. And from there, I put money into marketing. I invested in postcards. Those work. Every piece of marketing works. Postcards work. Facebook marketing works. Letters work. Probate, like, I can tell you any list now and any like marketing method and all that stuff. We can break all that down now because we spent the money and figured out what works and what doesn't, how to work it and everything. But I wanted to highlight this flip trip here. So I took a trip a while back because at one point in my career, it was a point where I didn't know what a deal was. I didn't even know what a deal was. I was sitting at a local RIA meeting, and I didn't know what under contract meant. Like, I didn't know how to recognize a deal. I had a scarcity mentality of deals out there, and just that, like, I didn't know what it was. Yeah, just super lost. And then it got to a point where I found my first deal. I got a little taste, and I figured it out. But then there was no deal after that. There was a gap. And then I got my next deal. And then there was a gap. And I got my next deal. And I wholesaled a few houses in efforts to get to my first flip. And the way I got my first flip, I'll give this to you real quick. So I was out there sending out postcards, making the cash offers. I didn't have the cash. I didn't have the experience for a fix and flip. My Easton was falling. So I couldn't even get a hard money lender to give me the money. My marker is failing. But I learned something at Verizon that was pretty cool, and it's the way they get you guys to all buy so many accessories. And that's, they bring out a basket and they say, which of these would you like, instead of, do you want this? And when you're presented with options, you're going to buy something much more likely, right? So I found this house. It was the perfect candidate for my first fix and flip. I'd already done a few wholesales. I'm still working at Verizon. It's 2015 right now. And my goal is to fix and flip. This house is paid off, free and clear. It's been a rental for years. They know they either need to put a lot of money into it to re-rent it, or they can sell it as is, or they can fix it and try to sell it that way. But it's free and clear. And this was super helpful at this point. Thank goodness it was free and clear. So I made him 3 offers. I made a cash offer at $183. Didn't know how I was going to get it, but whatever. I knew how to get them cash. Over here, I made him an offer of $192.5 in 6 months. I call it same as cash. Retail terminology. I don't even know if it made sense, but whatever. Then in the middle, I offered him $190. But I said I'll pay you 5% on that $190 for 6 months. Still 0 down, but for $792 a month, I would get into that house. And they would net $194 after it was all said and done. So this would be your highest number. So I was really fingers crossed that they were going to go with this one. So I kind of positioned the numbers that, okay, that makes more sense if they can just hold out. It's been rented for a while. Hopefully they don't need cash out right now. This one kind of sounds unappealing because it's like, it's more money than this, but it was really just that third option so I could get them to say, cross something out. Now it came down to these two, and now definitely, all right, well, there's debt. 194, that's 11,000. Okay, that's a significant difference. And they went for it. And that's how I bought my first fix and flip. Seller finance, 0 down, $792 a month. Worked on it on my, well, I hired a handyman who came as a recommendation from a real estate agent. I'm trying to speak this who just sold a house in the local market. And I mentioned that because she taught me a lot. This real estate agent became my mentor. She was the first listing agent that I worked with. She'd been in business for like 30-something years and just like got me up to speed super quick. And the diamond or the nugget here, aside from this, is that if you want to accelerate your business, partner up with people that have already been there. That's the key, because as soon as you do that, you instantly elevate yourself to their level in whatever it is. An example of that this year, or last year, is we just acquired our first room and board facility, which is a rental facility in Fresno, 8 bedrooms, 16 beds. We actually rent out the beds for $650 to $750 per bed per month. So it's a pretty, the gross cash flow is pretty lucrative on those. I had no idea how to operate one of those. And I don't know what I'm going to do. So, but it came across our desk. And this goes back to that first point, put it under contract. John, our acquisition manager, he brought this deal, and I'm like, man, this is a little outside our wheelhouse. We usually don't do this kind of stuff. He was like, I see something here. I'm like, okay, let's look at it. And so we ran the numbers. First, I was going to wholesale it. First, I was going to assign it. That was my first thing, because I don't know that business. We can fix and flip the house, but to fix and flip that kind of business, and like to take care of like people, and they get 3 meals a day, and like all their utilities included and everything. There's got to be something to this. So I take action in the direction that I want to go, which is to get a deal. I want to get a deal done. I want to monetize this deal, right? I want to convert it back to the same, create the conversation, convert it. So I start calling a list of people that own those kind of facilities in the area, and end up connecting with a gentleman named Rudy, who's been in the business since he was 7, grew up. His grandparents had one of these facilities. Now he's got a few of his own, and now we've partnered with him, and it instantly accelerated. We've got to that level on that, in that business. So that's how you can do that. You partner. It's anything you want, you, like somebody else in the world has it. And you just have to go out there and get it. The phone call, the text message, like it's that simple. How are we doing on time? All right, cool. So quick trip. So actually, I was just talking about how we had that LA Brand Expo. I kicked off the flip trip. I've always wanted to do a rally. who knows what a rally is, like exotic car rally or something. Drive a bunch of cars, like group gets together. Could be any car club, whatever. But you go all together and go to different destinations. I always want to do one of those, and I think I'm going to do one of those this year, like a big one. But this is kind of like the warm-up one. It was a solo rally, but still a bunch of fun. But I decided to go to all of our different flips because at one point we had no pipeline. I didn't have a next deal. I didn't know where the next check was going to come from. But now we've got 15 to 20 deals in the pipeline all the time, and so it's like, damn, this shit really works, and you can evolve. Excuse my language, but it's like, just letting it go right now. So anyway, boom, we kicked it off. Flip trip. So the Friendly Flip Rally, we went to LA. So of course you got to get the appropriate vehicle. So the C7 Corvette was the appropriate vehicle for that. So checkpoint 1, Bakersfield. This is our second room and board facility. We're in the process of getting this one up and running right now. This is in Los Angeles, checkpoint number 2 at the LA Grand Expo with Linda just a few weeks ago. That's the first time I had to wear my street clothes. So there it is. But we made it. We made it happen. Then boom, I've been doing, last 6 months of last year, I set this personal objective to do 180 miles in 180 days. I got to 165 and sprained my ankle, but I ran across the Golden Gate Bridge as part of that. And so here's another nugget. Set your goals high, and even if you don't hit them, you're still going to achieve way more, learn way more about yourself, grow in so many ways along the way, and you always get another shot. Bless you. So boom, checkpoint number 3, Antioch, California. This one is now ready. We're listing it this week to fix and flip. We're buying all over the state now. We started on the Central Coast. That was a sweet viewpoint right there. So we're going on and on, down, around. Clovis, California, stopped by this deal, walked the property, didn't end up getting this deal. But, hey, it's real. You don't get them all. But I stopped by, talked with the seller. We may still end up working it, but we just couldn't come to an agreement on the numbers. But hey, the objective was captured, walk the property and capture photos. So I made it a fun thing too. You gotta have fun with life. And this property we just closed on, Millerton Lake up in Fresno. We closed on the purchase, we renovated, and just closed on the sale this last week. In fact, I got to shout out to the team because we set some really, really aggressive goals for this year. 100 plus flips, 100 plus deals, not fix and flips, but between wholesale listings, fix and flip, everything. And we, so far, this month, we're kicking things off real good. 5 minutes? Awesome. Oh, perfect. Okay, cool. We're kicking things off real good. Man, this last week, we bought 3 houses. We closed on 2 sales, and we got a verbal acceptance on one of our wholesales, like in the last week. So it's like we're starting to see that momentum carry, and if I can do it, you can do it. And if that's the other thing, like I want you to take away from this, like I was just a dude working at Verizon. If you want to change something, make the decision. You can do it. I call this a little fun shot, Elon's tears. Naturally aspirated V8 sitting in front of the Tesla chargers. Electric's cool, but it'll never have the soul of internal combustion, in my opinion. And then just made it home in the Pismo beach area there. The finish line shot, that trendy 7-Eleven picture.
Is that where you're from, Pismo?
Santa Maria. Santa Maria. Yeah, so I come from Santa Maria, so I'm local. Dan alluded to that. I started my business here on the Central Coast, and we've only expanded out from there. We operate throughout the state now. And we're just taking on our first $1 million flip in Berkeley. We're about to start it in February. It's going to be awesome. We're actually documenting it with a videographer step by step along the way. And it's going to be fantastic. It's just a little bit of fun at Halloween. I got rid of the dreads. Sorry I had to go, but yeah, what am I getting at? So just kind of the difference between then and now. So you can have a lot of fun with this business. Of course, that's just a small highlight, but this is, it definitely would not be possible without those folks here. I'm trying to highlight, I think that's the best way to show the picture. So I want to introduce you real quick to our team. Actually, I'll just speak over the thing. So this is at our Christmas party. So I'm Jeremy Rubin, the CEO of Premier Real Estate Group. I'm supported by John Cacciatani, who's our head of acquisitions, our acquisition department. Raul Nguyen is our project manager to make sure all of our flips get done on time, under budget. And when he's done with it, he passes that to Eddie Robles, our real estate agent, who lists the properties and gets them sold. And in the cases of when they're wholesale properties, we just go straight from John over to Eddie. So Eddie Robles. So that's the team right there. Now we also have, we're a team of, that's our leadership team, I should say. And then here's most of our team in-house. We have my assistant Eileen, which makes everything possible, and then Anthony, our lead manager. So we've gotten into a lot more stuff. You'll find a ton of value on my Instagram page. That's the best way to connect with me. If you want to learn more, I'll be here all day too. I'm so about my heart too. Yeah, for sure. So, thank you guys. I go by Jeremy Rubin. I am Jeremy Rubin. I go by the friendly flipper on the street. Yeah, for sure. I appreciate you guys coming. I'm like, hey, this is probably the best way to get my info out there if you guys want to contact me. But,
Yes. When you do your fix and flips, does your team hire local people to do the construction and the flipping?
yeah, great question. Great question. We have local crews throughout. So we have local crews around in every area. So Santa Maria, Oxnard area, we have Antioch, Bay Area. But the trick we found is to hire local subcontractors, but manage it as a general as ourselves, because oh man, I gotta grab more cards. Come back. Yeah, so we find that we can control the job the best if we manage the subcontractors, because then we're not putting all of our eggs in one basket with a contractor who could screw us over on a deal basically if he falls asleep or doesn't show up or spends the money somewhere else, you know. But if it's just segmented with the tile guy does the tile, the HVAC guy does the HVAC, the painter guy does that, and then local, because they know the ins and outs of the local markets. That's how we've found the best success. Great question. What other questions could I answer? Okay, cool. So anyway, the best place to find me is at the Friendly Flipper or right back there at my booth. I've got business cards. I've got even a free flip kit for you if you guys want to learn how to crunch numbers, deal calculator, all that good stuff. Feel free to stop by and say what's up. But most of all, enjoy today's event. Hopefully I can just kind of show you a little bit about, if you really take this to I mean, if you're passionate about something, you can make anything that you want. You can really build anything anywhere of your life. So I appreciate everyone being here today. Appreciate you guys rolling with little tech issues that we had. And I'm glad that you're here to better yourselves. So have an awesome day at this event. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Linda.
Let me get a photo. Real quick, just a photo.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Well, I knew he'd do it. He's good. Having somebody local in the community here, close by, is really what it takes. If you're going to be doing any kind of fix and flip, you've got to be right there in the local economy working it. So he's definitely doing a great job. Thank you so much, Jeremy.
Thank you.
And we're going to have a break after this next speaker, so you can, network. If you brought any cards, you brought any materials, anything you want to exchange with people, that's really, this is all about education and networking. So the networking portion of it is not just what you have to give, but what people, can give you.